Hello and welcome to part 3 of the Beautiful Day class in a box. This is your final card that you will be making. Once again, all the elements are in the pack for you to use, all pre-cut. Now, I have used watercolour paper that I bought from an art shop, which is ultra smooth, but it will work okay on other watercolours. I just like it that it's ultra smooth and it's quite thick as well. So once again, when we stamp our butterfly, we will be using the Stamparatus so that I can re-ink and stamp maybe 2 or 3 times just so that I get a very clear image. You may end up with an image like this, a little bit itty bitty, is where it's not adhered, the ink is not adhered to the paper well enough when you're pressing round. So shall we get started? Now first of all, I'll put this to one side, sorry. First of all, the measurements for the cut piece that lays on top of the card is 14.3 by 10 centimetres. So just to hurry it along, you can either get your water brush and just water the colour like this, or you could, if you wish, very lightly use a spray from your mister that we've got in the catalogue. So I'll just use a little bit there just to help it along, and then do this. I've used 2 colours. I've used Lemon Lime Twist, oh, it's my favourite. We've only got it for another year, and Garden Green. So I'm going to take the Lemon Lime Twist, and what's easy for me, you can press the lids and use from there, but I quite like doing it this way. I just get a clear block, any clear block will be fine, and I just dab it into the ink. I'm just going to close that so I don't get messy, and I just take my water brush pen. It's already got water in because I've watered the card, so I don't need any more water, and I just do a light wash over, just scribble it on really. I don't do it all over the card. I don't want it all over the card. You can if you wish, but I don't want to do that. So there we go. I'm going to just dry my brush off a little bit, and I'm going to wipe the colour. Oh no, I won't wipe the colour off that. I will wipe the colour off that, just so that we can use the same one all the time. And then I'm going to take my Garden Green, and I'm going to do exactly the same, but I'm not going to lay any water down onto the card. I'm just going to lay onto my ink pad so that I've got a lovely Garden Green there. I'm going to put some water onto the block because I don't want it so dark, so I'll just take off little bits like that. There we go. So we're just going to put it at the bottom here so that we graduate, so that we've got like an ombre effect, depending on how dark you want it. And that's really all I want. So I'm going to clean my brush. I'm going to dab with my ink, my tissue. I'm just going to go a little bit over it again. No extra water at all. No extra water at all. Wipe it off the block so that we can keep it clean. Don't want to contaminate my Lemon Lime Twist. I'm going to go back with the Lemon Lime Twist. Just a little bit. just to blend it a little bit. That's it. Clean my brush. Going to clean the inside of the lid. We're going to set that aside now to dry. We can dry it with the heat gun, but whilst I'm embossing, stamping and embossing the butterfly and cutting it out, this will be fairly dry by the time I get round to it. So I'm going to put that to one place. I'm going to bring the next piece of card. You will have 2 of these pieces cut, and they will be cut both the same size so that you don't use what you shouldn't be using on your card. It just makes things a little bit easier. So I'm going to bring in the Stamparatus, and we're going to emboss the butterfly. Now, as you can see, I've got a sentiment here, and then I've got a butterfly here, and that's great placement for both. So I can take my lid up, turn it around, place it back down, and then stamp where I want it. And that's the good use of the Stamparatus as opposed to any of the other stamping tools on the market today. You have 2 plates, so therefore you have 4 different ways to stamp a card. So if you've got several stamps that you need to ink up and stamp, you've got 4 different ways by turning it around. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the stamp set again so that I've got an even place to ink. We're going to ink, and we're going to emboss in gold. So I'm going to stand up for this actually. So I'm going to really ink this butterfly well. Because the watercolour paper really seeps it in, so it really does need to be inked up a couple of times and stamped in the same place a couple of times. I'm just going to do that again, because the first bit will gloop and then the second one will sit on top. And I'm just going to give it one full up. Throw the embossing powder over. Bits you don't want sort of in there, you just flick. Don't want in there. I've got these because I forgot to use my embossing buddy. Okay. So once again, because it's thick cardstock, I want to gloop it from underneath. So I'm going to start my embossing underneath the butterfly. And not too close. You want to be, I don't know if you can see that now, about this far away. So I'm going to take it off screen, and so that you haven't got too much noise in your ears. But it does take a little bit of time because the cardstock is watercolour cardstock and it's thick. It takes a little time before it starts to to give you that wow moment. As you can see, it's turning now. I've made several of these cards now, and I've done another one which I will show you at the end with just one colour. So you haven't got to have two colours to do your butterfly or even your card. But because of the class, I did use the same colours for the video. So we're nearly done now. Just waiting for the tip to go. That one's done. I'm just waiting for the bottom now. I'll just give it a little whiz over the top, just to seal it in. That's it, there we go. Sorry, that was me pulling my chair in. So I'm just going to lightly wash with a bit of water over the butterfly. And again, we're going to just a little bit of water into the block and the ink, and just lightly just ink it up once and drag it around. Then ink it again without any water and try and add a little depth of colour. You can use paper towel, tissue, just to help you dry it off a little bit so that you can add a little darker colours. You can use your heat gun to help you along. Now you can see that I've left some white bits, but I will be colouring those in shortly with the darker colour, as you can see here. Hope it's not, you can see it properly and it's not too in your face there. I have made this design into a wow swap that I did with a group of selected ladies, handpicked ladies that myself and Rebecca, my team member and friend, selected to do. We wanted to swap with, so we set up a wow swap, and it's quite pretty. It's a plaque on the wall, but we didn't add any I didn't add any sentiment to it when I handed it over, because I thought, being on the wall, you didn't want to put anything else on it. You didn't need it. So you don't have to put a sentiment onto the card either. Right, so that's dried a little bit, but I'm just going to aid the drying for the purpose of the video. I'm just going to lightly I think the butterfly is quite pretty as it is, but let me show you how I did the edging, really. So tip a bit of water into the ink on the block, and then I just did a bit too much water there. I just did up and down motions, really, ziggy-zagging all the way around, ziggy-zagging all the way around. Not too much water though. This one is wanting to use another brush here. Just zigzagging. Perhaps a smaller nibbed brush is better for the zigzagging than the large one, but it does the same. Just zigzagging all the way around. It's quite therapeutic. I love watercolouring. Right, that's it. Just going to put just a wet brush now going over it so that it all blends in. Whilst I like the zigzagging bit, I want it to blend in as well. So you can just go back and add a little bit of more colour around the edge so it's a bit darker around the edges. Just go along, not too much water with it. Giving it a beautiful effect. Then when you're finished, make sure that you clean up all the ink from your block or from your pen, so that your water brush, so that you don't get it anywhere else on your card, because you will be very upset after making that work of art. And throw away the wet wipes. If you're using wet wipes, throw them away. There's plenty in a pack. You don't need to keep it on the table, because if it gets onto your butterfly or onto your card, can you see that now? How pretty is that? So I'm going to put that to one side now, and I'm going to bring back my piece that we watercoloured earlier, and it's more or less dry. So I'm just going to it's a little bit damp, but I want to emboss, so let's give a little bit of a drying session. And that's it. Stand up for this process. Right. So I put it back into the same place as where it was before, because I'd set the other. Let's get the other magnet from underneath. I set the sentiment before I started doing all the stamping. So if you look, it's out the way, but when I pull it up, turn it round, sorry about that, I've knocked the camera, place it back in again, it's actually where I want it to be now. So let's get stamping. And again, with the sentiment, you need to really ink well. Oh, let's not forget the embossing buddy, because we don't want anything that shouldn't be on this card. This is a new one, so it's not letting out enough powder for me. That's it. So we really ink up. I'll bring it in focus there. The sentiment. Here's my hair, bring that there. And then we're going to place it down and we're going to press. How cool is that? 2 stamps, 1 plate. Up I come again, and I'll just want to give it another inking up. Press down, And one more for luck. Ink up, press down. I'll quickly slide, because what I don't want to do is let it dry before I've put the embossing powder on. Just a little tad where I don't want it to be, so I'll just take my brush and brush it away and flick behind. If you find some has come off, then you just put a little bit more on. Don't re-ink it, just add some more powder and it will adhere. Clear up this. Just going to dry brush all around the edge. That's it, and I'm just going to heat gun it now. Again from behind. It takes quite a time going through thick card. And here it turns, it's just turning now. There we go. Can you see that? I'm just going to do a little bit at the top, underneath again, a bit at the top, and that's it, that's done. Now, it's buckled, your paper will buckle, it's watercolour, you've put watercolour on it. What you can do is just manipulate. That takes most of the buckling away. I've done it like a toilet roll holder tube. Okay. But what you would want to do is probably use red sticky tape, and then when you put the red sticky tape on, so that you've got manoeuvrability on your cardstock. If you put it down wrong, I just put a little bit extra glue. I'm just going to get my water tape. Oh gosh. These ones are all stuck together from the shows. So I'm just going to take my tape and lay it down. Get my sticky scissors. And I'll show you the trick. It's basically double adhesive in, really. But it's a cool way of making sure. Make sure you put one in the middle as well. Of making sure that if you do make a mistake, it just gives you a little bit of wiggle room when you're adhering this to your card blank. Burnish your red tape so it's easier to peel off when you're wanting to take it off. You can, if you prefer, take it back like that and then do opposite ends. Sometimes it's a little bit hard depending on where you got your red tape from, to be honest with you, because see, this one hasn't stuck on the cardstock. That's it. That bit there, take that bit off. Now this is what I call the double adhesive. So I've got the red tape on there. I'm just going to put some glue where the tape is showing so that it doesn't stick mightily down to the card blank when you're doing it. So you can get it where you want it. Put your thumb down on the bit that you've unpeeled, move it along to there, and then you should be fine. See, you can see it wants to buckle up. It still wants to, because it's thick, it still wants to buckle up your card, but you can lay something on it flat. Right, we're nearly done with this card. It looks like it's not simple, but it is very, very simple and very effective. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to take our lovely bit of mini sequin ribbon, which is carried over, I'm happy to say. I'm as pleased as punch with that. It's carried over into the new annual that comes out on the 1st of June, but you can get your hands on it if you want, by purchasing a kit from the 2nd of May. You get a choice of anything you like from all the products from all their current catalogues, including the pre-order of the new catalogue. For £99 you'll get £130 worth of goods, plus catalogues to hand out to your friends. So now we're just, once again, oh sorry about that, if it ain't a dog or a guy playing his music, it's the little one next door screeching up and down the garden. Okay. It's a little bit more difficult cutting, so be careful when you're cutting your butterfly with this thick paper, the antennae. You don't want to cut them off. There we go. There we go. Just throw all those little bits in the bin. So now we've got our butterfly all nice and cut, and then I'm just going to get my bone folder and I'm going to break down the fibres so that he's got a little bit of curl to him. It sort of brings him alive. And then I'm going to get my linen thread and I'm going to wrap it in between the butterfly's wings, either side of his little body and his antennae, and then I'm going to tie a bow. Pull its little tail bits there. And I want him to dangle down. So then I'll lay him where I want him to go. And then I will cut my tails accordingly. going to get a glue dot for the back, and I'm going to put two, one at the top and one at the bottom. I'm going to fit the sequin ribbon onto it. With some sticky fixers, 3 of them. I'm going to put 3 of them on. Just lay that on the side there. Hello and welcome to part 4 of the butterfly card. Well, part 2 of the butterfly card, part 4 of the Beautiful Day stamp set. So we've attached our butterfly now by using sticky fixers, just in case you didn't catch it on the last video. I'm going to pull it up. That's what we've done underneath. So we'll attach it where we want it to go, and then all we've got to do to finish it off is to add some of these beautiful glitter flakes. They're like little mini sequins, really, to be fair, with no holes in. So I've put some in a little pot, and all I did was just dab little bits of glue in places where I wanted them to stick. And then I just pinched a few up, put them on, tap them back off, these are in our spring summer catalogue. They're not carrying over, unfortunately, so if you're wanting them, you would have to purchase them by the end of May, but I do think that they make really beautiful effect on your card. So there we go, that is your finished card. Absolutely beautiful. And here is the card, as I promised, in a different colour. So I've used just Bermuda Bay, that's all I've used, and I've watered it down, did a very light wash, let it dry, and then again went over with a wash but not so much water, and I think it gives it another fabulous effect. Thank you very much indeed for purchasing the Beautiful Day class in a box, and I hope you enjoy these cards and you enjoy using your product. Thank you.